I want to start today off with trivia. I want to ask you a question. How many Bible verses do you think contain or are attributed to the topic of money? Is it between 500 and 1,000, 1,000 and 1,500, 1,500 to 2,000, or is there over 2,000 Bible verses concerning money? There are over 2,000 Bible verses that discuss or deal with the topic of money. In fact, when Jesus is teaching, his parables and everything else, about 40% of the stories are attributed or have the context of money in them. What simply means is that following Jesus has a cost. And are you and I willing to cover the cost?
Yes. Follow me. Me?
Yes, you.
Not too long ago, our church had a whole series on godly finances. And one of the things that we discussed is budgeting. And budgeting is truly understanding the cost. How much do you make? How much can you spend? How much should we give? And everything in between. Budgeting is a thing that we won't really teach you in our education system. But in our godly finances series, one of the things that kept coming up was misappropriating costs. And the biggest one that everyone had was this little guy. We realize that there is a simple cost in everything. And Jesus even discussed it in Luke. He understands that there is going to be a cost. And he wants to tell his disciples, are you willing to pay it? And if you do not carry your own cross and follow me, you cannot be my disciple. But don't begin until you count the cost. For who would begin construction of a building without first calculating the cost to see if there's enough money to finish it? There's a lot of times where I actually think I find myself more on the side of not following Jesus than following Jesus. This whole series has been a huge conviction. And honestly, it's been because I haven't really understood the cost. I think when I signed up and I prayed the prayer and I asked Jesus into my heart, I don't think anyone truly prepared me for what the life was actually going to be. Now, don't get me wrong, this is the best life I've ever had. Before Jesus, I was a mess. But did I really understand what it really means to die to oneself? Because that's what it really means to be a follower of Christ. And he says it right there before he ever says, count the cost. You have to carry your cross daily. And I don't think we talk about that enough. I don't think we give those in our sermons. And of course, we don't give those in our altar calls. We don't really want that. We want people to know and understand Jesus. And hopefully, they'll understand that the cost is totally worth it. But when I look at our numbers and I can see how many people don't truly understand the cost, I truly see a generation of individuals who are lost because they didn't really realize that the house that they were building was too expensive for them. See, when Jesus is teaching, roughly 40% of the parables are actually having to do with money. I believe there's so much biblical truth in what we're supposed to be doing with our money that I encourage every single one of you to buy a book, find a podcast, a YouTube channel that talks about godly principles and dedicate a week, a month of time to really invest into understanding what it means to be a disciple of Jesus and what we're supposed to do with our money. Because when we truly understand it, we understand verses like Luke 16, verse 11 so much better. And if you are untrustworthy with worldly wealth, who will trust you with the riches of heaven? See, I used to think that if I just made more money, I'd have less debt. But I went ahead and did a little bit of research. And according to the Federal Reserve, the more income somebody has, actually the more credit card debt they're about to incur. At each stage of a boost of income, an individual ends up spending more money. This truly just shows how inadequate we are with our finances. We think that in order for us to have, we gotta spend. But the truth is, what Jesus says is that we're supposed to give it away. See, the true act of what Jesus did on the cross was give his life away. He was the ultimate servant. He was the ultimate cost for your and my sins. And when we truly understand that, we realize that Luke 14, when it's talking about understanding, about building a property, about building a house on this, on Him, and living the life of a follower of Jesus, it's all about understanding the cost. And are we willing to pay it? Which means paying it forward, which means giving to others the way that Jesus gave to you. As always, we love you. I hope you have a fantastic day.
Yes.
Follow me.
Me?
Yes, you.